Chris, and this is going to be my Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 8, No One breakdown and review. And let me say right up front, the writing for this episode was excellent. It was on point. It was perfect. As far as the title goes, No One, because no one really liked it. I understand that the show's the show and the books are the books. I understand that TV, as far as the show goes, is an abridged Cliff Notes version of A Song of Ice and Fire. I understand they have to combine storylines and all that good stuff and cut out a lot of things that are great in the books. So I usually keep that separate, and I love Game of Thrones, but this episode overall was not good. There were a few great scenes in it, but the rest of it was just kind of for me. There were no surprises, no twists, no shocks. I understand every Game of Thrones episode can't be filled with action and twists and betrayals and this person was really this person and all that kind of stuff. I completely get that. But this episode had like 2 or 3 good scenes. Let's jump right into it. We start off at Bravo's. Arya, as I said last week in the review, is pretty straightforward. Arya just got stabbed herself and she just let her guard down out of the blue right after coming off an episode where she seemed to know she was being hunted down, where she got needle back, she hid out in the dark little alleyway, blew out the candle, she knew she was being tracked, and of course last episode she fucking got shanked because she's walking around without a care in the world, no protection, not looking over her shoulder, and it just didn't make sense to us, so we all thought it was some twist. A lot of people thought the Fight Club split personality type thing. A lot of people thought that she would get help from somebody, you know, magical at least, because those are pretty bad abdominal wounds. I'm not sure how the wave with the 6-inch blade missed all the vital organs, including her liver. Anyway, I digress. She's been taken care of by Lady Crane, the actress, who did take her advice and started to spice up the Joffrey scene a little bit in the play. So she goes to Lady Crane for help, and apparently she's a nurse too, because she does help patch her up with a bandage, some milk of the poppy, and some Campbell's tomato soup. And then we go to one of my favorite scenes in the show, the Hound. He does get a little payback with these assholes in the Brotherhood Without Banners. It's like I said in last week's Q&A, it was a Splinter Cell, so to speak. So he went after them, got payback, and shoved that axe right up that guy's bunghole. Then, of course, he comes across Thoros Samir and Beric Dondarrion, 2 guys we hadn't seen in quite a long time, so this did squash the Lady Stoneheart rumors, because in the books, Lady Stoneheart at this point would now be the leader of the Brotherhood Without Banners. But what's cool here is after they had a discussion about how they were going to kill Lem Lemoncloak and the other 2 guys that were responsible for the village massacre, they sit around the campfire, talk about war and chicken, and Beric brings up the issue in the north as far as the cold winds are rising, referring to the War for the Dawn and the White Walkers, so somehow he's gotten word of what's really going on, what's really important. So I think this is actually a good thing for the Hound. It could perhaps shoot down the possibility for Clegane Bowl. To me, it would be cool for the Hound to continue his character arc, his redemption path, and to fight for something bigger than himself as far as just another storyline about vengeance on his brother. He's been told 3 times now that the Lord, or one god or the other, has bigger plans for him, so it would be cool for him and the Brotherhood to end up beside Jon Snow perhaps in the battle for the Dawn. And then we head over to Meereen for a little quick shot of Varys and Tyrion walking through the streets. Apparently Meereen's thriving again, trade is back, everybody seems happy. We have a Red Priestess preaching on behalf of Dany like we had talked about before. Tyrion's pretty proud of himself for his political maneuvering, and then Tyrion and Varys say their goodbyes, and Varys leaves the city as we expected, and I'll just say that I think he's going to make preparations for Dany's arrival in Westeros. But oddly enough, that goodbye scene did look like they may never see each other again. And then we go to King's Landing, and this is probably the only other scene I really liked about this episode, and that is Cersei being summoned by the High Sparrow, Lancel Lannister and the Sparrow Club coming there basically saying the High Sparrow has summoned you, it's not a request, you need to come with us. And Cersei says, nah, he can come visit me here. They try to move in on her, and the mountain jumps in the way, and this is the great scene we saw from the trailer. Lancel says, tell your zombie to step aside or there will be violence, and Cersei says,
I choose violence.
And this dumbass Sparrow kid tries to hit the Franken Mountain in the chest with a spiked club, and that shit didn't work out so well because Franken Mountain ripped his damn skull out of his damn body essentially with the spine still intact, Predator style. So now he can take that shit and put it in his trophy room. Of course, the other sparrows, including Lancel, stand there in awe and fly away like a fart in the wind. So then we head over to River Run while Pod and Bronn exchange insults and fighting techniques. Brienne finally meets up with Jaime again. There's obviously still some feelings here. Brienne tries to persuade Jaime to let her go talk to the Blackfish so she can take him and his army north to help Sansa, his own family. And Jaime says, yeah, I don't want any bloodshed here. I just need to take this castle back so I can get the hell up out of here. But the Blackfish is acting like a stubborn asshole here and says, no, I'm not going to go help my family that I specifically talked about last episode. And I'm just going to stay here and die in this damn castle. And then we head over to King's Landing to see the final nail in the coffin for Cersei. She is now completely alone because Tommen issued a royal decree that there will be no more trial by combat. Now, of course, Cersei was all pumped about the trial by combat. She knew she would get off scot-free. She has absolutely nobody left. And of course, this was all due to the fact that Zombie Mountain just ripped somebody's fucking head off. But the really cool thing here that does set up something coming in the future is the Qyburn scene when Qyburn says, all those rumors you told me about, I had my little birds investigate. And she's like, well, was it a rumor or was it more? And he was like, oh, there's more, much more. So if you don't know what Qyburn and Cersei are referring to here. We just saw the scenes a few episodes ago with Bran and his visions, his flashbacks, where we saw the Mad King screaming, "Burn them all." We saw the Pyromancers and the wildfire. This is referring to the Mad King Aerys and his stash of wildfire all over the city that he left just in case, specifically under the Sept of Baelor. So Cersei is out of options here. She knows if she goes through with a trial, she's shit out of luck. So now there's only one thing for her left to do, and she has the means to do it, and that is set the damn place on fire so she will become the Mad Queen. And then we head back over to Meereen, and Tyrion and Grey Worm and Missandei are discussing the recent success of Tyrion's plan. Tyrion actually talks Missandei and Grey Worm into having some wine with him, and Missandei gets a little tipsy. And then out of the blue, the Masters from Slaver's Bay come and attack. You can see the Yunkai symbols on their sails and start slinging Molotov cocktails on the city of Meereen. Now I gotta say, this is pretty much the most advanced weaponry I've seen in a Game of Thrones, other than dragons of course. And speaking of dragons, where in the fuck are Rhaegal and Viserion? We saw Tyrion release these guys in the beginning of the season. We haven't seen them since. They just walked back into the darkness. I'm assuming he left the door in the bottom of the pyramid open because after all, he did go to free them so they would grow and thrive. But they haven't been seen this entire damn season after that, and if they had already been loose like they are in the books, then they would have taken care of those ships in 5 minutes. Anyway, right before this happens, Tyrion had mentioned that one day he wants to own his own vineyard and call his wine the Imp's Delight. So perhaps this gives us a little clue into Tyrion's future after all this is over. And then we head back to Riverrun, and this is one of the worst scenes. I didn't like this at all as far as the Riverrun storyline. They just kind of moved it out of the way and completely ignored any common sense here whatsoever, in my opinion. We have asshole Jaime back now who goes and talks to Edmure, his prisoner. Now this is kind of out of the books here. Basically, he's using these threats against him to avoid violence, so he is trying to save everybody. But TV Jaime comes across as the asshole we love to hate. But essentially, this whole scene was a waste. I mean, why not have the Blackfish go with his army, even if it's 50 or 100 men, to help his family Sansa, who again, he specifically referenced the episode before, being all about family. So that's exactly what happens. Edmure goes in and basically gets everybody to lay down their arms. Nobody dies here, which is what Jaime wanted to accomplish, but it was a complete waste for the Blackfish to go out like that and die off screen. At least give us an on-screen death where he takes out a few fucking Freys. And then the last part of this scene, Jaime's on the battlements at Riverrun and sees Brienne going down the river with Pod in the rowboat. Now he could have called in his men here and had them captured, but he let her go and waves to her. She waves back and looks like they're wondering if they're ever going to see each other again. So what I'm hoping comes from this at least is that Jaime gets back to King's Landing, realizes that Cersei's crazy, kills her ass, and then does something good with his life. And then we head back to Meereen, and as the siege continues, they continue to throw Molotov cocktails into the city. They agree to stay in the pyramid, that's the only place they can hold. And then they hear a big bang on the roof, and like a lot of us suspected, it ended up being Dany. Drogon apparently drops her off on the balcony, where Drogon flies off again, instead of staying on his back and taking care of this war in about 10 or 15 minutes. But Dany does come in, they all bow to her, and she looks pissed. And finally we head over to Braavos, and this is the part that really pissed a lot of people off, and this is the Arya scene. After Lady Crane patches her up, there was no surprise, there was no shock, it was just straight up Arya getting stabbed. The wave catches up to her, kills Lady Crane because she was marked for death anyway. Arya has the strength with all the stab wounds to jump off the fucking balcony. And then this chase scene. I really looked forward to this because I expected Arya to use all the skills she's acquired in the last year or so as a faceless assassin and give us some kind of fight, wounded or not, but she runs through the streets. Apparently Arya, I don't know if she even planned this, lured her back with a trail of blood to the place she had Needle, and instead of seeing this potentially great fight scene between her and the waif and using all these skills she apparently learned over the last couple years, the only skill we know that she's learned is how to cut a fucking candle in half. So she uses the advantage apparently of darkness that she's been training to do that, and then we don't even get to see it. No fight scene whatsoever, and I didn't even get to see the fucking waif's hair get cut off. We go back to the House of Black and White at the end of this, and Jack can see the trail of blood on the floor leading down to the Hall of Faces. Arya has now put the waif's face in the Hall of Faces, and she comes up behind Jack and says, "You told her to kill me," and he says, "Yep, but here you are, and there she is, and now a girl is truly no one." Now I did like the final line Arya said, "No, I am Arya Stark of Winterfell, and I'm going home." Anyway guys, that's my take on the show. It was one of the worst Game of Thrones episodes, and that's pretty harsh for me because overall I'm pretty lenient with the show. I think it's great, and like I said, there was a few good scenes, but some of the things like the Arya storyline and the Faceless Man ended up being like another Dorne. They just kind of cut it off, and it didn't make any sense how they ended it. And then the whole Riverrun situation, I really didn't like that at all. Why would a character like the Blackfish not be utilized somewhere where he could actually help his family when he had just got through saying the episode before that he loved his family? It just made no sense to me the way this was written. So anyway guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know your favorite scenes. Did you enjoy the Hound getting vengeance? Do you like the idea of him going up north instead of going to King's Landing to fight his brother? Also let me know what you think about the Lady Stoneheart issue. I've been saying for the last couple months now that I don't think she'll make an appearance. I think it's too late for that, and I think this pretty well confirms that, being that Beric is still in charge of the Brotherhood Without Banners. So anyway, if you hadn't seen last week's Q&A, you can click here to check that out. Let me know what you think about that. I did talk about some of these things that I thought would happen in this episode. So check that out, see what I got right, and let me know what you think. I will be doing another Q&A this week as well with James, so leave your questions in the comments below. And as always, guys, thank you for all the support. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.